people think they're prepared. A few cans in the pantry, a bag of rice in the back of a cabinet, some extra water bottles in the garage. And if something actually happened tomorrow, a serious storm, a power outage, a supply chain disruption, they'd open the pantry and discover the same thing most people discover too late. It's not that the food isn't there, it's that the right food was never there to begin with. This video covers 12 specific foods every serious emergency stockpile needs. Each one was chosen for a concrete reason: shelf life, nutritional role, real-world usability under pressure, or all three at once. Stay until number 1. It's not just the most cost-efficient food on this list. It's the single ingredient that connects everything else, and the foundation that professional emergency food systems worldwide are built on. Number 12 is where we start, and it's one most people fundamentally misunderstand. Number 12. Honey. Most people file honey under sweetener, something next to the sugar jar that gets used once a month. That category is wrong, and it's costing people one of the most genuinely useful storage items available. In 2025, honey prices in the United States rose by nearly 30% in a single year. Declining bee populations, extreme weather, years of quietly falling domestic production, it all converged at once. But price is actually the least interesting thing about honey for emergency storage. Archaeologists excavating ancient Egyptian tombs found sealed jars of honey over 3,000 years old, still chemically intact, still usable, not folklore. A documented, repeatedly confirmed scientific finding. The reason is specific. Honey has extremely low moisture content, very high natural sugar concentration, and mild acidity. Those three properties together create an environment where bacteria, mold, and spoilage organisms have almost nothing to survive on. Stored sealed, away from heat and direct light, pure honey has no functional expiration date. But shelf life is only half the story. When the body is under real stress, less sleep, irregular meals, harder physical demands, it needs fast fuel. One spoonful of honey delivers simple carbohydrates the body absorbs almost immediately. No preparation, no cooking, nothing else required. Eat it straight, stir it into warm water, mix it into oatmeal, or combine it with peanut butter for a calorie-dense meal in under 30 seconds. Beyond energy, honey has a documented history in specialized wound care and provides genuine soothing function for a sore throat or mild cough, without needing anything else alongside it. A 1-pound jar of raw honey costs $6 to $9. Choose raw or labeled 100% pure. Products blended with corn syrup don't carry the same shelf life or natural properties. One thing that causes unnecessary waste. After a few years in storage, honey often turns cloudy and solidifies. Most people assume it's spoiled and throw it out. It isn't. That's granulation, a natural process in high-quality pure honey. Set the jar in warm water for a few minutes and it returns to liquid form, with nothing lost. Number 11. Canned tomatoes. Here's a problem almost nobody anticipates when they start building a food supply, and it quietly undermines everything else. The problem won't be running out of calories, it'll be that the food stops feeling like food. When your diet narrows to the same rotation of rice, beans, and plain canned protein for days, then weeks, something measurable happens. Emergency nutrition researchers call it appetite fatigue. It's not a lack of hunger. It's a gradual psychological unwillingness to eat what's available because the repetition becomes genuinely hard to push through. People start eating less than they need, even when enough food is right in front of them. One can of tomatoes breaks that pattern. The acidity, moisture, and flavor transform dry foods in a way almost nothing else at this price point can. Plain beans become a stew. Rice becomes the base of a real dish. Pasta gets a sauce. One can paired with whatever protein or starch you have produces dozens of recognizably different meals. No specialized ingredients, no complex preparation. Nutritionally, canned tomatoes deliver lycopene, an antioxidant the body absorbs more effectively from cooked tomatoes than raw, along with vitamin C and micronutrients that become hard to source when fresh produce has been unavailable for weeks. A standard can cost $1 to $2 and holds good quality for 18 to 24 months, often longer in undamaged cans stored at stable temperatures. One practical note: because tomatoes are highly acidic, They need actual rotation, not occasional shelf checks. First in, first out consistently. Never store cans that are severely dented, swollen, or leaking. In a long-term food supply, flavor isn't a comfort item. It's what makes the supply psychologically sustainable. Number 10. Peanut butter. 8 hours into a power outage, no stove, no flame. Everyone needs calories to get through the night. No preparation, no cooking, no cleanup. That's the entire case for peanut butter, and it's one of the strongest on this list. A standard jar delivers protein, healthy fats, and a high calorie count, all immediately accessible without any equipment. Protein and fat together provide slow-burning energy that keeps people full far longer than carbohydrates alone. No crash, no hunger an hour later. For families with children, there's something else worth naming: familiarity. A recognizable flavor during a stressful, disorienting situation carries real psychological weight, especially for kids. Peanut butter pairs with almost everything on this list. Spread on flatbread, stirred into oatmeal, combined with honey for a high-calorie meal in under a minute. At $4 to $8 per jar, it offers one of the lowest costs per calorie on any grocery shelf. One purchasing distinction that matters: natural and organic peanut butters have fewer stabilizing additives, meaning oils separate faster and shelf life after opening is shorter. For emergency storage, conventional commercial peanut butter is the more stable choice. Most unopened jars hold good quality for 18 to 24 months stored cool and dry. Number 9. Canned beans. When most people think about emergency protein, the instinct is meat. More canned chicken, more tuna, Spam. Those all belong here, and they come up shortly. But the protein source that appears most consistently in serious long-term food supplies isn't meat. It's beans. Canned black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, immediately ready to eat. No soaking required, no extended cooking time, and cheaper per gram of protein than almost anything else at a grocery store. A single can costs 80 cents to $1.50. The nutritional profile goes well beyond protein. Beans deliver fiber, iron, potassium, and folate. Fiber maintains digestion and promotes fullness when meal frequency drops. Iron supports energy and oxygen transport. Folate is essential for cell function. When a diet gets compressed and repetitive, beans fill gaps that rice and pasta structurally can't. The practical advantage over dried beans is significant. Dried beans require hours of soaking, substantial clean water, and extended cooking over heat. In a situation where water and fuel both need to be conserved, those requirements become real obstacles, not inconveniences. Canned beans are already cooked. Open the can and the food is there. Even the liquid inside, which most people pour out automatically, can go directly into soups or stews. Nothing wasted. Storage note: keep cans off concrete floors. Moisture accumulates on concrete over time and accelerates rust at the base of cans. Shelving or wooden pallets, cool and dry, with regular inspection for damage. Number 8. Salt. No item on this list costs less. No item does more. A large box of salt costs between 75 cents and $2. Kept dry and sealed, the shelf life is effectively unlimited. That combination, near zero cost, indefinite storage life, makes it the most efficient purchase on this list by a significant margin. But salt's value in an emergency supply has almost nothing to do with flavor. Salt is an essential electrolyte that directly regulates nervous system communication, muscle contraction, and heart rhythm. During physical work in hot or demanding conditions, sodium loss happens fast. If it isn't replaced, consequences escalate from fatigue and cramping to serious physiological problems that compound everything else a difficult situation demands. That's the first function. The second is older. Long before refrigeration, salt was the primary tool civilization used to extend the usable life of meat, fish, and vegetables across seasons. If a freezer goes down and protein starts thawing, the ability to salt and cure that food can be the difference between losing it and recovering several additional days of usable life. One thing worth knowing: keep 2 types. Iodized table salt for daily nutrition. Iodine is a micronutrient that's hard to source in a simplified diet. Kosher or sea salt for food preservation. Iodine can affect the color and flavor of cured or brined foods over time. Both together cost under $5. There's also a behavioral pattern worth understanding. Before every major storm or weather event, items that disappear first from grocery shelves are often the ones people least expect. Salt, virtually unlimited under normal conditions, empties right alongside water and batteries. Not because it becomes scarce, but because millions of households reach for the same short list simultaneously and local distribution can't keep up. The time to buy salt is not when a forecast appears. It's now. Before we get into the top half of this list, drop a comment with whichever item surprised you most so far. Takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps me understand what's useful to people watching this. Number 7. Canned meat. 12 hours into a power outage, the refrigerator has been warming the whole time. Everything fresh or frozen inside has crossed from being a resource into being a problem. In the kitchen cabinet, no electricity, no cold chain, no refrigeration. There are several cans completely unaffected by any of it. That independence is the core argument for canned meat. Not that it's the most enjoyable protein, it's that it's the only protein that stays fully functional regardless of what else fails. Canned tuna, salmon, chicken, and processed meats like Spam deliver complete protein, all essential amino acids the human body can't produce on its own in a single serving. Complete protein supports muscle maintenance, aids recovery, and sustains fullness in a way plant-based proteins alone can't replicate. 1 can of meat added to rice or beans immediately transforms that meal from a carbohydrate base into something nutritionally complete. That pairing, starch plus complete protein, is one of the most efficient combinations in a shelf-stable food supply. Most canned meat in the United States costs $2 to $6 per can and holds good quality for 3 to 5 years in cool, dry conditions, often longer with an intact seal. One consideration that catches many stockpiles off guard: most canned meats are high in sodium. In a situation where clean water is simultaneously limited, high sodium increases the body's water requirements at exactly the wrong time. Balance higher sodium products with low sodium options. Diversify across types: tuna and salmon for omega-3s, chicken for versatility, processed meats for caloric density. Don't rely on a single type. Number 6. Olive oil. When people plan an emergency food supply, fat is almost always last, if it gets addressed at all. Water, protein, carbohydrates. Fat, if it comes up, is an afterthought. That sequencing creates a gap most stockpiles are quietly carrying right now. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble. The body can only absorb and use them when dietary fat is present in the same meal. A food supply heavy in canned vegetables, legumes, and grains, but lacking an adequate fat source, delivers only a fraction of the micronutrient value those foods actually contain. The nutrition label says one thing. The body receives another. Olive oil closes that gap without refrigeration, special handling, or complex storage. Fat is also the most calorically dense macronutrient you can store. Roughly 9 calories per gram, more than twice what carbohydrates or protein provide. During reduced food availability or increased physical demand, that density matters directly. 1 tablespoon stirred into rice or beans adds meaningful calories without adding volume or cooking time. Practically, cook with it, finish dishes with it, stir it into soups and stews. Outside the kitchen, it works as a lubricant for mechanical tools, a skin moisturizer, and historically as fuel for simple oil lamps when electrical lighting fails. A large bottle of extra virgin olive oil costs approximately $10 to $20 and holds best quality for 18 to 24 months. 3 variables drive degradation: light, heat, and air. Dark glass bottle, tightly sealed between uses, cool location away from direct sunlight. That's the entire storage protocol. Worth noting, Spain, Italy, and Greece, which produce the majority of the world's olive oil, have experienced repeated extreme heat and drought in recent years. When harvests decline in those regions, global supply tightens and prices respond. These products don't give much warning, before changes show up on shelves. Number 5. Powdered milk. Think about the first evening of a prolonged power outage. Lights are off. The refrigerator has been slowly warming for hours. A parent opens the door and realizes there's no milk left, and a young child who needs it before bed is waiting. The family wasn't unprepared in any general sense. That one specific item just wasn't there. Powdered milk closes that gap, and it's one of the only shelf-stable products that can. When fresh dairy disappears from refrigerated shelves, whether because of a power outage, a supply disruption, or a storm that cuts off access to stores for several days, powdered milk reconstitutes into a direct substitute using nothing more than clean water. A single package delivers protein, calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin B12. These aren't optional nutrients during a compressed and simplified diet. Calcium supports bone density, but it also plays a direct role in muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and cardiac rhythm. Protein helps the body preserve muscle mass when meals become less frequent or less balanced than usual. For children, older adults, and anyone whose overall diet is already being reduced, these nutrients are foundational, not supplemental. The versatility extends well beyond drinking it straight. Stir it into oatmeal to significantly increase the protein and calorie content of a simple meal. Use it to make pancakes, mashed potatoes, cream-based soups, or work it into bread dough. One package reconstitutes into the equivalent of several gallons of milk, a substantial nutritional return for a relatively compact amount of storage space. A package of non-fat dry milk in the United States typically costs between $15 and $25. Sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and stored in a cool, dry environment, non-fat dry milk holds its quality for 10 to 20 years, a storage window that very few other dairy-adjacent products come close to. The single most important purchasing decision here: choose non-fat, not whole milk powder. Whole milk powder contains significantly more fat, and fat is the first component to degrade during extended storage. For a supply intended to last years, non-fat dry milk is the only practical choice. Once a package is opened, divide the contents immediately into smaller Mylar bags, add oxygen absorbers, seal them, and store away from light and heat. The goal is always to minimize how much of the supply is exposed to air at any one time. If this has been genuinely useful so far, a like takes 1 second and it makes a real difference in getting this kind of content seen. Number 4. Flour. When store shelves run low and the bread aisle is already empty, there's a meaningful difference between a family that stocked food and a family that stocked the ability to make food. That's what flour actually represents. Not a product, a capability. With flour, water, salt, and a small amount of cooking oil, it's possible to produce flatbreads, tortillas, simple biscuits, and fresh pasta on nothing more than a pan and a direct heat source. These are complete meals, not supplements, and every one of them can be made in a few minutes using skills that require no specialized knowledge and no equipment most households don't already own. A 10-pound bag of all-purpose flour in the United States costs approximately $5 to $10. That single bag can produce dozens of individual meals, substantially reducing the cost per serving compared to any pre-packaged processed food alternative. Sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and stored cool and dry white all-purpose flour holds its quality for 8 to 10 years. That's a genuinely long storage window for a baking staple. The most common mistake people make when choosing flour for storage is selecting whole wheat flour because it has a better nutritional profile. For everyday cooking in normal circumstances, that logic is correct. More fiber, more vitamins, more minerals. But the natural oils present in wheat bran cause whole wheat flour to degrade significantly faster during storage. The nutritional advantage disappears long before an 8-year window closes. White all-purpose flour, with the bran and germ milled away, is substantially more chemically stable over time. One specific preparation step worth adding before packaging flour. Place the sealed bag in a home freezer for 48 hours first. This eliminates insect eggs that may be present in commercially packaged flour. Eggs that survive standard storage conditions and hatch weeks or months later. Small step, no special equipment. It meaningfully reduces one of the most common long-term storage problems people encounter. Number 3. Pasta. Every time a significant storm is forecast to hit a major population center in the United States, the same sequence plays out, almost without exception. The bread aisle empties first, then water, then canned goods. Somewhere in the middle of that rush, the pasta shelves start thinning out. Not because pasta is normally scarce, but because it's one of the first foods people instinctively reach for when they shift from thinking about grocery shopping to thinking about feeding a family from a pantry. That instinct is correct, and here's why. Dry pasta combines 3 qualities that very few other shelf-stable foods can match simultaneously: low cost, long shelf life, and genuinely simple preparation. Boiling water and a few minutes of cooking time. That's it. Paired with canned tomatoes, canned beans, canned meat, olive oil, or simply salt, each combination produces a recognizably different meal from the exact same base ingredient. That variety matters over an extended period. For the same core reason canned tomatoes matter. Appetite fatigue is a real and measurable phenomenon, and pasta provides a structural base that can be presented in a dozen different forms without adding complexity or requiring additional resources. Pasta also cooks faster than most grains, which matters more than people expect when fuel needs to be conserved. The difference between 8 minutes and 45 minutes of active heat use is a real operational consideration, not a minor convenience. And even the water left over from cooking pasta carries value. The starchy liquid can be added directly to soups or used as a base for sauces instead of being discarded. Every part of every cooking session is useful. A 1-pound box of semolina pasta costs approximately $1 to $2. Repackaged into Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and stored properly, pasta holds its quality for 10 to 15 years. Left in the original paper box, that window collapses substantially, and the food becomes vulnerable to moisture, insects, and pests that a sealed Mylar bag prevents entirely. That gap between packaged and properly stored shelf life is one of the largest on this entire list. One type to avoid for long-term storage: egg noodles. The fat content from the eggs causes degradation far faster than pasta made from 100% semolina wheat. Semolina only for anything intended to last years. Number 2. Water. The most widely repeated rule in emergency preparedness is this: humans can survive weeks without food, but only a few days without clean water? Most people have heard that. Fewer have worked through what it actually demands in practice, and the gap between knowing the rule and acting on it is where most stockpiles fail quietly. Water isn't only for drinking. It's needed to cook rice, boil pasta, reconstitute powdered milk, rinse wounds, and maintain the basic hygiene that keeps people genuinely healthy over an extended period. Without it, a food supply worth thousands of dollars becomes largely inaccessible. The rice can't be cooked. The powdered milk can't be mixed. The containers can't be cleaned safely. The food is physically there, but the ability to use it properly isn't. Emergency preparedness experts generally recommend a minimum of 1 gallon per person per day to cover basic drinking and cooking needs. That number rises meaningfully once hygiene and full food preparation are factored in. For a family of 4, a 2-week supply at minimum baseline use means storing more than 50 gallons. That doesn't happen accidentally. It requires dedicated containers, a clear system, and intentional planning. For serious long-term storage, food-grade high-density polyethylene containers, marked HDPE, are significantly more suitable than single-use plastic bottles. Single-use bottles weren't designed or tested for multi-year storage. The thin plastic can degrade in ways that purpose-built storage containers are specifically engineered to prevent. One storage detail that applies to water containers exactly as it applies to canned food: don't place them directly on concrete floors. Temperature differentials cause condensation to accumulate on concrete over time, which can gradually compromise container integrity in ways that aren't visible until it's too late. Shelving or wooden pallets, same as everything else on this list. The pattern that makes this genuinely urgent. In recent years, prolonged heat events have strained municipal water systems beyond capacity. Unexpected winter freezes have burst pipes. Localized flooding has compromised tap water safety for days at a time across multiple regions. In every one of those situations, bottled water was gone from store shelves within hours, not because of any broad systemic supply failure, but because concentrated local demand completely outpaced what regional distribution could replenish quickly enough to meet. The families who didn't face that problem weren't the ones who drove to 6 different stores hoping to find something left. They were the ones who already had what they needed at home, before any of it started. Water is the only item on this list that makes every other item on this list actually functional. It deserves to be addressed seriously, not eventually. Number 1. White rice. Look at the emergency food stockpiles maintained by disaster relief organizations, military preparedness systems, and long-term survival communities across the world. You'll find genuine differences in almost every category. Different protein sources, different fat sources, different approaches to micronutrients and variety. Meaningful disagreement on a lot of items. One ingredient shows up at the foundation of nearly all of them, without exception: white rice. Not because it's the most nutritionally complete food available, not because of flavor complexity, because no other commonly available food simultaneously delivers high caloric yield, extreme shelf life, and near universal pairing versatility at this cost. That specific combination is nearly impossible to replicate with anything else on a standard grocery shelf. A 50-pound bag of white rice in the United States currently costs approximately $20 to $35. Portioned into individual meals, that bag provides tens of thousands of calories, enough to sustain a family of 4 through a significant period of substantially reduced food access. Somewhere between 50 cents and $1 per day in caloric value, depending on portion size. No other grocery store purchase approaches that ratio. And here's what actually makes it the foundation of this list, rather than just another item on it. Rice pairs directly with everything else covered in this video. It extends canned beans into a genuinely complete meal. It absorbs the flavor of canned tomatoes and becomes something that actually tastes like real cooking. It works alongside olive oil, canned meat, peanut butter, salt, and whatever condiments or spices remain available. In a simplified food supply stripped down to its essentials, white rice isn't just an ingredient. It's the structural platform that everything else is built on and makes functional. When sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers rated at 2,000 cubic centimeters or larger, then placed inside sealed 5-gallon food-grade buckets and stored in a consistently cool and dry location, white rice holds its quality for 25 to 30 years. That figure comes from documented testing by long-term food storage researchers and emergency preparedness organizations, not from optimistic estimates. Very few common foods come anywhere near that storage window. 2 things to understand clearly before you buy. First, not all rice stores the same way. Brown rice retains its bran layer, which contains natural oils. Those oils oxidize during extended storage and go rancid, cutting the viable shelf life down to somewhere between 6 and 12 months even under genuinely optimal conditions. For multi-year or multi-decade storage, white rice is the only practical option. Second, oxygen absorber capacity matters precisely. Using undersized absorbers for the volume of a 5-gallon bucket leaves residual oxygen inside the container. That shortens storage life and creates conditions where certain insects and microorganisms can survive. Match absorber capacity to container volume. Don't approximate this. Global rice markets have experienced real disruption in recent years. Extreme weather across Southeast Asia, which produces a large share of the world's rice supply, combined with export restrictions from several major producing countries, has caused sharp price spikes in short windows. These events are a reminder that even the most ordinary and universally available staple can face meaningful disruption when conditions shift quickly enough. Here's the honest summary of everything this list comes down to. None of this requires a dramatic lifestyle change. No specialized setup. No wholesale memberships. No expensive equipment beyond Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, and food-grade buckets, most of which cost very little per unit. 2 items this month. 2 more next month. Done consistently over the next 6 months. And you'll have built something that most people who take preparedness seriously still haven't quite managed to put together properly. A stockpile built on the right foods, stored the right way, that doesn't quietly degrade while you're not looking. White rice sealed in Mylar, canned beans on a shelf, canned meat, pasta, peanut butter, olive oil, flour, salt, canned tomatoes, powdered milk, honey, water in food-grade HDPE containers that have been quietly sitting there for months, ready. And then picture this, an emergency notification on your phone one morning. You look outside. There are lines forming at the nearest grocery store, people moving with visible urgency, filling carts with whatever's left on the shelves before it's gone. You walk back into your kitchen. You open the pantry. Everything is already there. Has been there for months. You don't need to join those lines. You don't need to compete with anyone for what's left. Your family has time. You have real options. You can think clearly in a moment when most people around you are reacting to something you already prepared for quietly before it happened. Every Mylar bag you sealed. Every oxygen absorber you added. Every container of water you filled and put away without making a big deal about it. In that moment, none of it feels like overkill. Prepare now, while the conditions are still in your favor. Not because something is certain to happen, but because the cost of being ready is genuinely low, and the cost of not being ready, on the day it actually matters, isn't. Which one of these 12 items is missing from your setup right now? Drop it in the comments. It helps me know what to cover next.